proud of. And we're actually the flagship Ripley's, believe it or not, around the world, and we're very proud of that fact.
Yeah. And whereabouts in London is it?
So we're based right in the heart of central London, in Piccadilly Circus, literally just a couple of steps from the Underground station. And obviously with West End shows, restaurants, shops literally on our doorstep, it's the ideal place to start your day out in London.
You said start the day out, so what are your opening times?
So we're open from 10 a.m. until midnight each day. Our last admission is at 10:30 p.m, but we're open every single day of the year, even Christmas Day, believe it or not.
Really, Christmas Day? I kept me out seeing the in-laws then, I just popped down.
Well, it's one of our busiest days of the year, actually. There are so many people staying in central London for the Christmas holidays, and obviously with so much closed, it's great, to sort of take the kids out for a couple of hours and sort of entertain them before their big Christmas lunch.
Yeah, I stayed in London for Christmas a few years ago, and I couldn't believe how dead it was, but I didn't realise you were open. I could have just popped over.
Well, we are, and like I said, it's a fantastic day. Staff and visitors really enjoy it. It's got a really fun festive buzz, and certainly one of my favourite days to work.
With all the different things you got on show, are there any that are a little bit too scary for children? Have you got an age limit for visitors?
No, we don't actually have an age limit. The attraction is very interactive and appeals to everyone, young and old, really. The only thing that we highlight is we do request that all children under the age of 7 are accompanied by an adult, and children actually under the age of 4 do go free at the attraction. We do have a dungeon zone, though, that we do highlight to visitors. Every child is different. Some kids absolutely love it, but for those of a slightly sensitive nature, we do offer an alternative route around the dungeon if they prefer not to go through.
Can adults like me who are slightly sensitive bypass it as well?
Absolutely, for scaredy cats like myself as well. I normally sidestep around it, but any sort of exhibits like that, we do have plenty of signage just to sort of forewarn visitors if they'd rather take another route.
You've got an awful lot on show in London, so you've got to get it into the space you've got available. But does that mean it's not an accessible place to visit, or is it quite easy to get around?
It is, absolutely. We do actually have lift access to every floor, so very much accessible for buggies and wheelchairs as well. We've got plenty of staff on hand as well to help visitors go between each floor, and visitor assistance for any other help that they need. For people visiting with disabled guests, we also do offer free carer admission with each ticket purchased as well.
Seclo Sounds is based at the Old Rectory, the home of our studio partner Interaction MK. They've been bringing arts to life in Milton Keynes for over 35 years. They use the arts to improve the life chances of disabled people and others in challenging circumstances through shared creative activity. These programs help participants to develop creative, personal and social skills. You can visit them at www.interactionmk.org.uk.
Step into the spotlight with me, Lucy, every Wednesday between 6 and 7 p.m. on Seclo Sounds. I'll have new music, the latest entertainment news, and interviews with local bands. If you're in a band, or if you have music that you think I should be playing, I'd love to hear from you. Email me, lucy@seclosounds.org, and join me every Wednesday from 6 till 7 for Spotlight on Seclo Sounds.
You can contact us or just keep up to date with travel news at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And so we finally reached June in my review of 2014. During June I covered London walking tours. Probably easier to do than it is for me to say. London Dungeons, Legoland, Romania, where my jokey question didn't go down too well. South Carolina, Florida, Alaska. I covered the history of package holidays, the regulations for package holidays, and I also had ABTA come on to discuss the new planned regulations that the European Union are going through at the moment. As you know, consumer protection is very important to me. I don't want anybody to risk their money when they go on holiday. So Sean Tipton from ABTA came on to talk about the new regulations, what ABTA feel about them, and I'm going to replay some of the interview now. And we're going to start by talking about Flight Plus. A Flight Plus may give you the impression that you've booked a package holiday, so you would be covered under the Package Holiday Regulations 1992. But we're now going to find out whether or not a Flight Plus holiday necessarily means that you are covered under these regulations.
It's true. Yes, it is, and it isn't. Basically, Flight Plus. Explain what that is very quickly. If you book a flight through a travel agent, and then they let's say offer, or you ask them to book you a hotel, and they then go and book it through another company. Now that isn't necessarily legally a package. It's a thing called a Flight Plus. However, you're quite right to remember the public's perspective. It looks like one, doesn't it? It's just legally it isn't. So what changed 2 or 3 years ago was that it became a requirement for travel agents who were doing that, even if it's not a classic package. They had to protect it financially. They had to offer that financial protection. So it's kind of halfway house. What's different though with Flight Plus, because it's not legally a package, is that those agents are not responsible if something goes wrong with the holiday. There's not, that they don't have that extra level of obligation that a classic tour operator does, but they do have to offer financial protection. So that's quite a significant move. I think the estimates of the time, that meant that something like 6 million people a year would have an extra level of financial protection. So it offers part of the protection of package in terms of looking after your money, but they don't have the obligation, as I said, if something goes wrong. So it's a bit of both, really. But that's something that the new package travel directive will be looking at, as whether that would be treated as a classic package, just like the ones that currently are.
You said about the financial protection with a Flight Plus atoll. Which bit of the holiday is actually covered?
The lot, basically. The whole thing, if the Flight Plus travel agent, atoll holder you're dealing with, if they go out of business, you're protected. If, let's say, one of the companies they use, the airline or the accommodation-only supply goes out of business, you're protected, because it would be their responsibility, the Flight Plus company, to give you your money back. So that kind of area, it's about financial protection. If they or one of the companies they use goes out of business, it means your money is safe. So that's what Flight Plus will do. That's quite a significant level of cover.
It is. We just had the strikes in France, which have meant some flight cancellations in the UK. Is there a different level of protection for those who had a proper package holiday compared to those who had a Flight Plus trip?
No, there wouldn't be any difference, because of the fact that if you have a classic package, let's start with that straight away. If you have a classic package booked, then the tour operator would be responsible to give you a full refund of the full cost of the package. Now, on Flight Plus, I think, to be fair, I don't think they necessarily would have to do that, but they certainly would go out and arrange you to get you alternative flights as much as possible. So it's not quite the same. But Flight Plus, as I said, primarily is to do with the failure of a company rather than the cancellation of a service, so it's not quite as strong. But however, change it around a bit. If you haven't booked a classic package, or you haven't booked through a Flight Plus agent, if you've just gone direct to an airline, and that's the majority of people would actually be doing that in a situation like this. We dealt with quite a few cases where the flight has been cancelled, but they booked their accommodation directly with a hotel or through an accommodation-only website, and they couldn't travel, obviously, and they were hit with a cancellation charge for not losing the accommodation. So I think that's the area where people are more at risk, where they're booking directly through airlines rather than through agents or tour operators.
Talking more about ABTA, can you just remind us about how ABTA protects the travelling consumer?
Well, ABTA, we called ABTA the Travel Association. I think people probably still better know us as the Association of British Travel Agents. We changed our name a few years ago, but and we've been going since 1950. And what do we do? Well, first of all, our members, in many cases, offer financial protection to customers, and that's, we talk about things like the package travel regulations, but the regulations make that requirement, but there's different ways you can offer the protection. One of the ways is, for example, is doing it through us. The other way is through Atoll, for example. But as an example of the kind of companies that purely protect their customers through ABTA, most of the major cruise companies are ABTA members. So we hold something like £3.5 billion worth of bonds, which are forms of insurance to cover people if the company goes out of business. That's that side of it. We don't protect absolutely everything. There are some areas where it's not a legal requirement to offer financial protection, such as if you sell accommodation only. Now, in that case, it's voluntary for our members whether they do or not, but many of them will. For example, we had a company that went out of business last month, sold precisely that. They did offer financial protection, and we're going to pay out around about £1 million to consumers who booked accommodation only through them. So yes, we don't always do so, but companies will make that clear. But when we do, as you see there, it can be quite a significant level of cover. The other thing we do, we have a consumer affairs department, which is purely there to help customers who have a complaint or a problem with an ABTA member. They'll help them before they've been on holiday, and they'll help them after they've been on holiday as well. And we also have an arbitration scheme, which is a cheap and fast alternative to going to court if you've got a really bad problem with a company you haven't been able to sort it out with them. And also, we have a code of conduct, which is very strict, and the point of that code of conduct, all our members have to follow it. Some of them don't always like doing it, but regardless, they have to. Mm-hmm. And it's meant to ensure that basically that problems don't occur in the first place. And if they do, that they have, very strict guidelines on how they're supposed to deal with customers to sort the problem out. So that has been going for a number of years. I remember the Office of Fair Trading looked at it a few years ago and said it was a model for other industries to look at. So, yeah, those are the main things we do for consumers.
So it's worthwhile looking for an ABTA member then?
Indeed, yeah.
How can we find out more about your code of conduct and other stuff, ABTA?
The best place to find out information about ABTA is on our website, abta.com. It's been revamped and looked at in a lot of detail. It used to be maybe not quite so consumer-friendly. It certainly is now, and we've also tried to, quite apart from saying what ABTA does, if you've got a problem, etc., it also gives out a great range of information about any kind of travel query you might happen to have, like what's your rights are if your flight's delayed, where do you need to get a visa for, what kind of health requirements are there, for different countries, and also just general more kind of fluffy things really about suggestions about, if you fancy going on holiday in March, where'd be a good place to look, go to, which, where's going to be nice weather, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, it's pretty much all you need to know about travel is on the website, so that's abta.com.
Well, this is the end of the travel show review for 2014 Part 1. Next week, yes, you've guessed it, it'll be the review of 2014 Part 2. And during the months July to December, I covered such things as travel insurance, British Virgin Islands, how to remove travel stress, Christmas markets for you to plan for 2015, Berlin. I did a little bit about Cancun because I went over there for a holiday, and also how to pack like a butler. And I'll be replaying some of the interviews for some of these subjects during the show next week. Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show will have a list of the shows for 2014 and the topics from January to June. So Facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. So if there's anything of interest to you, you can go there and it'll tell you which link to find the right show on Spreaker.com. And also you can use the Facebook page as well if there's anything you want me to cover during 2015. I'm covering things that I think are of interest to me and I believe you should know about, but maybe I'm missing something out and there's something you've always wanted to know, and let me know and I will do my best to get it covered. If one of the things you want to know is why is the liquid rule on airplanes 100 millilitres, well, I spent most of 2014 trying to find out, and the answer is, can't tell you, it's a secret, it's a need to know thing. So don't ask me to get you that because I can't, but anything else I will do my best. And I hope you can listen to me next time on the Travel Show with John Guinn on setclosesounds.org, where each week I'm checking it out before you check in.
MK Pulse proudly sponsors Seclo Sounds. MK Pulse is Milton Keynes' local magazine, bringing helpful information on food, health, fashion, money, travel, culture and much more to 84,000 people every month. Plus news, views and what's on from around the city. If it's happening in Milton Keynes, it's in MK Pulse and it's available online at www.mkpulse.co.uk. MK Pulse and Seclo Sounds, the heart and soul of the city.